Hello. Hello. Hey, this is Shaun and Lindsey with Crossing the Aisle. I
I,
thought you were starting.
I
No.
just said to you
You wanted me to
when
start?
I hit start, you go.
Okay, I go. Okay, I'm just I'm sorry. I thought it was. I thought you were going. That's cool. All right.
I see. I tell y'all, he doesn't listen.
Yeah,
He
I
just
really
does not
don't
listen.
at all. I know it's terrible.
Welcome
Yeah.
and happy Friday, everyone.
Yeah. Happy Friday. We've had a really busy week this week. Obviously, we had the elections in Jackson and Brandon and Flowood, and Pearl and all over. So we were done with the primary elections and going off to several runoffs. So that's been the big news of the week. Well, there's been other big news of the week. It's the tariffs, which we'll get to shortly. But and those are the main things this week. We had elections locally and nationally. We're under this current tariff situation. So, Lindsey.
Yeah, tariffs. Tariffs. I do know what they are.
Yeah.
They're taxes on imported goods. And so, from what it looks like, it's going to raise prices for everyone
Mm-hmm.
on just about everything.
Yeah.
And especially now that we have seen the retaliatory tariffs come in from China. What was it, 34% that came out this morning?
Yeah, right. I think so. I think it was overnight. They retaliated with 34% tariffs on us on our goods. It was a responsive measure to President Trump's tariffs on them, which I think was 54%. I believe is right.
And we get a lot of stuff from China.
Yeah, we do. We do. Yeah, we export a lot of farm stuff to farm products to China, especially here, like soybeans, chickens, those kinds of things in Mississippi, which are going to impact our farmers here, that's going to feel a little bit of a crunch on that unless this gets resolved. There was some good news though. I noticed that Vietnam, President Trump had put out about an hour ago that he had talked to the president or general secretary, I can't remember what they're called in Vietnam, and about working a deal and agreeing to a 0% tariff rate, which was pretty interesting because they we in 2018 when he was president last time, there was a lot of companies that moved their manufacturing to Vietnam in order to avoid the Chinese tariffs that he'd implemented at that time. So like Nike, you know how I buy how many Nikes, they all come from Vietnam. So like Nike had moved their Wayfair, Restoration Hardware. There was a lot of companies that had actually gone to Vietnam. And so that would open up that where certain products won't go up in price. So that's good if President Trump works out a deal with Vietnam. That's going to be a great thing for that.
I have one question, John.
Sure.
How are we going to make those pigeons pay? Are those
the penguins?
The penguins.
The penguins.
Not pigeons. Penguins.
Penguins.
How are we going to make them pay?
Yeah. What Lindsey's talking about is so apparently when the Trump crew that worked on the tariffs, when they put all the tariffs on these big lists, you saw him the other day when he was doing what's called Liberation Day. He had a list of countries with reciprocal tariffs, and they had mistakenly put a tariff on the Hearn and McDonald Islands, which are only inhabited by penguins, and we don't have any trade relationship with the penguins. So that was a snafu, a bit for there, right?
Trade ice? I don't know.
Yeah. So that was I guess somebody really wasn't paying attention. They were just kind of like tariff, and that's what happened. So we had that, and the other problem though I noticed from that was their tariff calculations were wrong. It wasn't, so the way the administration presented it was that this is a tariff rate of that country, China or Vietnam, England, whatever. But what they did was they took the trade deficit that we have with that country and they divided it by the exports or imports and came with the number. And that's what the numbers that you see on the next to the country. So there was some inaccuracies there. That's what, and I'm getting all this, by the way, from CNBC and the market analysts that are a lot smarter about this stuff than I am. And then they're saying that's causing a lot of the ruckus in the market right now about the, because we might've just overshot on the way that we put our numbers together. So.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously, I understand his mindset, like what he's attempting to do, because, tariffs can be meant to protect American industries, which can work in two ways, because some industries can benefit, when they face less competition from foreign suppliers. And so that's better for American businesses. But then, obviously others can suffer, especially the farming industry and manufacturers, because they can't get things they need in order to do the job that they do here in the United States. So they're going to take a big hit.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, tariffs, Lindsey, are really, you're right. I mean, it's a difficult subject because, by the way, Democrats are not, they're not guilty of this. Like they've been pro tariff for a long time. So it's not like President Trump was the first one to start pushing these. Actually, free trade has been a position of the what I call the old Republican Party, the conservative Republican Party, the free market capitalists, more so than it ever was the Democrats. And now, President Trump has kind of pushed that policy upon the current Republican Party, which isn't really so much a free market conservative party more as it is a populist party. And I think and so there have been definitely a debate on this for as long as trade has gone on in the world about tariffs. And the way that I look at it is that tariffs are good if you're doing it, if you want to grow a certain industry, like targeted tariffs. Like, not to mention, the Biden administration kept a lot of the Trump tariffs on automobiles, Chinese cars, those kinds of things. And so it wasn't like Biden was like, no, these are all bad. He didn't say that either. So I think, if you target them and if you want to grow a certain industry, solar panels is one that people talk about, automobiles, those kinds of things, it's okay. The issue here, what we've never done before, was just this blanket tariff policy. But it's interesting from and I get some of Trump's arguments about, well, the fairness, like, is it fair that a country's got tariffs on us and then we don't have tariffs on them?
Right.
And everybody kind of understands that fundamental issue of fairness. So, that's his argument. But is the retaliation to that, and where we cut off our nose to spot our face, good either? So I don't know. It's a tough question. And now what you're seeing is the market's playing out.
Right, that's just what I was about to say. Like, these tariff wars, I mean, they're causing this economic instability with the stock market crashing, and then also we are potentially going to see more inflation.
Correct. Yeah, that's correct. The prices of goods are going up. And I think I was talking to some people on Facebook about this yesterday, and I get the anger of folks that are mad that we've lost these manufacturing jobs, which have gone back, decades. And from a personal perspective, my dad and my uncle ran a pitch plant in Puckett, and it was during the 1990s, and it makes this tar product goes into fluorescent lighting. And once NAFTA was signed, that really just decimated their business in the 90s. Then there was it was a local manufacturing, domestic manufacturing plant that they ran. And so I'm sympathetic to it a lot, because I experienced that growing up. But the problem, I think, is, that was 30 years ago. And what we're looking at now is those manufacturing jobs have just fundamentally changed due to technology, automation, AI, the digital economy that
we can't get those back the way that they were.
Exactly.
That's not something we can really fight for.
Yeah, exactly. You're exactly right. Like, it's like, even if we put a tariff on everything, we start producing everything here that we can, it's not going to be the amount of jobs that you saw in the 1950s or the 1960s, because due to technology, that's not coming back. Those high wages are never coming back, no matter what. I was listening to something on the drive over here on CNBC. This has been the whole week I've been on CNBC, just because they're the financial network. And
he's such a nerd.
Yeah. And they made the point about talking about the president making a deal with Vietnam, which was interesting. About, they're saying the jobs in Vietnam, manufacturing jobs, Nike pays the workers there about $5,000 to $6,000 a year. So do we really
How does anyone live on that?
I mean, apparently in Vietnam, you can live on $5,000 to $6,000 a year. It'd be nice.
That's wild.
And they're saying, are we really want to export those jobs to the United States? Like, how would that look? I mean, and would Nike then pay an American worker, I don't know, $50,000 a year to do the same thing they're paying a Vietnamese worker $6,000? And even if you did implement tariffs on Vietnam, would they ever rise to level to make any difference in terms of producing the goods cheaply for Nike? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it gets
complicated.
Kind of very, very much so. Very complicated issue. But I do sympathize with the arguments on the other side, on the Trump folks, about why they want to do it. But I just think I think technology has changed the game, I guess.
So this narrative that it's going to hurt right now, but it's going to be better in the long run, may not be the case, because
Correct.
what you're saying, the game has really changed. It's just those jobs aren't available like they were in the past.
That's right. Yeah. It's not going to be the same. It's not going to look the same way. And then there's also this flip side of it. So President Trump today says, we're going to maybe have a zero rate with Vietnam. Well, you got to kind of pick your poison there. So either you want a zero tariff rate, and if you're doing that, trying to get that deal around the world, well, then you're never going to bring back domestic manufacturing if that's your goal. So you kind of got to pick which one you want. Do you want domestic manufacturing, or do you want a zero tariff rate? So I don't know. I don't know. They need to define what the goal is a little bit better for me too.
Yeah, I agree.
So, but it's been an interesting ride. And everybody, if you've got a 401k, I'm sure you're not that happy right now. It doesn't look so good. I listened to Jim Cramer this morning, the infamous CNBC host, again, CNBC. And he said that, we got about 48 hours to figure this out, or the calamity is going to be pretty bad.
And PERS is in jeopardy too.
Correct. Yeah. I saw Gerard Gibbert posted about that this morning. Yeah. Yeah, it's a dangerous. This weekend's going to be interesting. See if there's any
I think
deals made.
there are some people out there hurting who have been running businesses and been able to get the things that they need to run their business, and now all of a sudden they can't without this massive increase in price, and it's going to hurt some people really
Yep.
bad.
It is. It's going to. We'll see how it plays out, but I don't think the president's going to back down. It doesn't seem like he's going to do that.
No, I don't think so. He's never wrong. You know that, Shaun.
It's always what is it he
It's
always
going to be
says?
great. It's going to be great.
It's like levels we've never seen. That's what he always says. We've never seen.
We
This.
never have seen.
Yeah, we've never seen. We've never seen. It's
No.
always like that. He's like, that's his Chokwe's right. Chokwe says right more than I say right. He's like, everything's
Yes,
right.
we watched Chokwe's interview last night with Other, and
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you what. You know who's gotten just a really bad end of the deal here is Stephen
O'Neill
that owns the manship.
Yeah.
So Shaun and I go to the manship a lot. It's right around the corner from his house. That's where we went on our first date. And Stephen's a sponsor of the station here. And, he's just really caught a lot of hate from those guys. So y'all get out to the manship and support him because he does not deserve that. He's such a great guy.
Yeah, I think he used to run the Bulldog years ago. Everybody knows Stephen from forever. He's a war veteran too. I mean,
right.
it's I don't know what Other Kane's ever done in terms of that kind of service. Maybe he is a war veteran too. I don't think so, but maybe I'm wrong, and I'll apologize to him if I am. I'm guessing not though. Stephen had espoused some things about the handling of the St. Patrick's Day parade. Mm-hmm. And the violence that occurred there, of course, we know. And I think that those statements that Stephen made on Facebook angered the Chokwe people because he was saying,
so automatically he's racist.
Yeah, he's saying that I think he said something like there's a culture problem that's causing this. Well, I mean, he's not wrong.
No, he's not.
There's this violence that's happening out there,
and not just on St. Patrick's Day, all the time in Jackson.
Yeah, I mean, it's an issue, and it's not like Stephen lives like 5 doors down from me. I mean, he owns a business in Jackson. I mean, it's not like he's anti-Jackson. He's obviously very pro-Jackson. And Other Kane is, I saw funny things. So Other Kane is crapping all over Stephen. And I was at the manship for brunch like 2 weeks ago by myself. I just walked up there one Sunday morning, and there was Other sitting at the bar. And I'm like, he's
vowed not to go back.
Yeah, well, if I was Stephen and he walked in my place,
I'd tell him to leave.
He'd get a nice little exit on that one for sure. So it's ridiculous. You just can't break the narrative that Other in that group wants to put out, which is that everybody who's white's definitely a racist, and anybody who doesn't want to vote for Chokwe is definitely a racist. So I think that's a load of crap. Now Kingfish has got a really good story, y'all, if you want to go to Jackson Jambalaya, about how the mayor lost, and this kind of tacks off what we're talking about. The mayor it claimed on election night that Republicans essentially stole the election from him. It was kind of the reverse Chris McDaniel from 2014,
like crossover voting.
Yeah, he complained about that, and Kingfish has got a breakdown of this. Again, the mayor lied yet again. I know it's a shocker, but he did. It wasn't he. It's here. Horn won 77 of 79 precincts. 77 of 79 precincts. Mayor Lumumba won 1 precinct. Horn won all the wards, and it wasn't even close. Horn's best performance was in Ward 1. He carried it by 64% of the vote. The mayor only got 10% of the vote in Ward 1. And in Ward 1, not only did the mayor only get 10%, Tim Henderson beat him 2-1 in Ward 1. Horn's weakest performance was in Ward 6, where he only got 26% of the vote. Now, listen to this, Lindsay. Mayor Lumumba's best performance was on his home turf, Ward 2. That's where his dad used to be the councilman in Ward 2 before he became mayor. And he got 22% of the vote. However, Senator Horn got 44% of the vote in Ward 2.
Double what Chokwe got.
In his own neighborhood, I mean, so.
That's got to hurt when your own neighbors are voting you out.
Yeah, I mean, actually, I think that maybe Chokwe now lives in Ward 1 because he moved to Ridgewood Road in that little gated complex with 4 rich people's mansions. It's, that he somehow afforded on a mayor's salary.
I heard he lives in Madison too, allegedly.
I don't know about that. He lives off of Ridgewood right there across from that church, and there's like 4, that really nice estate that he's got that he afforded on $100,000 a year. Riddle me that one, but
I mean, obviously we know where that money came from.
Somewhere. I don't know if it was from the his salary, but we'll soon find out. So this is one funny thing Kingfish has up here. Precinct 33, which I actually poll watched years ago, and that when Robert Smith was running, I was working on that campaign. Not one vote from Mayor Lumumba. Not
That's
one. No,
wild.
I've never heard of that before. Not even one vote for
For
him
the
there.
incumbent, because in Mississippi, we just have this problem with not thinking anyone else can do the job other than the incumbent and constantly reelecting them because they have that name recognition. So that is wild. And in a precinct, he got 0 votes.
0 votes. And Funchess beat him in 3 precincts and lost by a single vote in 2 other precincts. I mean, this is how, and the point is, and I know we got to go to break, but the point is that the mayor was resoundingly beaten by people of all races, colors, and creeds. It wasn't just white Republicans like he
Right.
wanted to make it seem out. The entire city
They're
rejected
fed up.
him. They're fed
Fed
up
up.
and they completely rejected him. So
And that's how you change it. You get out and vote and you say no more.
he could say rhetoric lies and stuff, but you know what doesn't lie? Numbers. Numbers do
Right.
not lie.
That's right.
So.
Well, yeah, we got to take a break. So if you want to give us your thoughts on the mayor's race, what's going on in Jackson, our number is 601-879-0002. You can call in and talk to us on our phone line here if I'm able to answer it correctly. I think I've got it figured out now. And when we get back, we're going to talk about the hate mail we're already getting.
And the measles.
And the measles. Did someone really die of the measles, or is the media lying to you again? We'll break that down when we get back. Stay with us. Welcome back in to Crossing the Aisle, where politics meets passion. Literally, it's what I like to say.
Mhm.
And some people don't like our politics and passion, Shaun.
Yeah, or particularly mine, which is to be
I mean,
expected.
yeah, they
I'm on a
like
conservative station,
they liked
so I'm gonna get it.
they liked me, which I mean,
Yeah, that's
can,
right.
can you blame them?
Yeah, I'm on the conservative station. I'm definitely, I got used to that with Clay's show. So at the beginning, I mean, it just is what it is. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, so we got last night. We were sent an email. I guess it was sent to the station.
Yeah.
But we have someone out there who listened and is not a fan of the show. You want
Well,
to
it's
tell
because
them
of
about
me. I think she
that?
said I was.
Not a fan of you.
Yeah, because she thought I was insulting you, and I didn't know that I was doing that. But I apologize, Lindsay, if I was insulting.
Oh, you say that on air in front of everybody.
I don't think
I
I
can't get you
was,
to
but
apologize. Off. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No, I did not think you insulted me at all. And that's the whole premise of this show is that we have very different political views. And some things we can come together on. Some things we have to agree to disagree because we're never going to see eye to eye on certain things.
yeah,
So I told Shaun last night, I was like, well, take that with a grain of salt because there are things that people are going to agree with me on, and when they do, they're obviously going to disagree with you, and vice versa, because we do disagree on things. That's the whole point of having different viewpoints come together and have a radio show.
yeah. I mean, especially like I said, been on the station for 2 years, and it's a conservative radio station, and generally people are not going to agree with me most of the time. I mean, I'm used to that.
I loved the line in there though that she said, "I thought Shaun was pretty quiet and reserved on Clay's show, but now he's not."
Well, yeah, I guess she just didn't get my sense of humor. Well, I think we were talking about racial yoga yesterday. We were joking around that about
Yeah.
that. Yeah, and I got
and I guess she didn't like what you had. I don't know. I don't even know what part it was that she thought you were.
I always
being
wonder,
disrespectful.
for the 2 years doing Clay's show, and there's so many people that are really cool that always will message me and like say, "Hey man, thanks for saying this," or ask me about that. I think they're awesome folks that really neat. But the funny to me, and that was like 95% of people.
Mm-hmm.
There's like 5% that are always going to be, Clay could tell you this too. Like they're going to be the haters out there.
Haters gonna hate.
And the things they hate about always shock. It shocks me. Like remember
The hat and
the
the cap
hat
thing.
guy, the guy that got mad because Clay and I called a ball cap a hat, and we're like all the things we've said. Like you're mad about
That's
that.
what you're mad about.
Or the disc golf guys. The disc golf.
Those people hated you.
Man, they went after
they
me
were
like
blowing
crazy.
your phone up.
That one dude kept on, and then he started begging me to come out there and play disc golf. I was like, bro, I don't even know you. Like, I don't want to go play disc golf. Like, it was kind of wild. I was like, you're mad about that we joked about a disc golf course in the ghetto. Like, I mean, that just seems like yes, it's a naturally funny thing for us to joke about. But yeah, and I was thinking about like, all the times I've been listening to podcasts and radio shows and TV networks, news that I've consumed for decades now. Like I've just never gotten mad about enough to email anybody in my life, or like I'm just like, okay, whatever, say what you want. If I didn't like it, I just don't listen.
Yeah, well, the one who emailed said she would not be tuning back in. So
yeah, I'm sorry,
I'm guessing
ma'am.
she's not listening. But if you are,
I apologize.
Give Shaun another chance. He'll do better.
Yeah,
I'm kidding. I don't think that you were disrespectful.
You told me not to do better. You were like, amp it up.
That's
what you said.
Well, I said that's what makes it entertaining. That's what people want to hear is our different opinions on things and how we're still able to make it work and stand each other when we do have such different views on certain things. So,
yep.
Yeah, I say amp it up. Bring it on.
You got it. No problem.
Yeah, so that again, that's the whole premise of this show. And if you don't like that, you don't have to listen.
Yep. Well, anyway, we'll move along from that. But what's or you want to talk about your favorite subject, measles?
Well, we got coined from some of our legislators a couple years ago, the moms for measles.
Mm-hmm.
So if anybody knows me,
I thought it was Ku Klux Karens.
No, that's Moms for Liberty. We got named that Moms for Liberty.
Okay.
We got several names over there, but we won't go there. Yeah, so MPVR, Mississippi Parents for Vaccine Rights, fought at the legislative level for years for religious exemption when it comes to vaccines. And anyone that knows me knows that's where I got involved in politics. That's my, I have a vaccine-injured son. That's my passion. And that's kind of been the thing I have fought the hardest for and still do. I'm very vocal about that. And so I know when you go and research the data yourself and you look at the facts that the measles was almost eradicated before the measles vaccine was ever even introduced. That's a fact. Go look it up. I'm not lying to you, but don't take me on my word. I always urge people to go do the research yourselves. So when it's so funny, the timing of all of this, because RFK, Trump appoints him, and then all of a sudden we have this measles outbreak, and measles, 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 be afraid of the measles. And I just thought it was outrageous that a child actually died of the measles, and I didn't believe it. And I told you that when it came out. I said that child did not die of the measles. I'm willing to bet money on it that I don't even have, that kid did not die from the measles. Well, come to find out, a few weeks after the child died, the parents came out and spoke and wanted people to know that their child did not die from the measles. The child had the measles right before this, but actually died from bacterial pneumonia. Well, this week we've gotten even more information, and it was actually a medical error on the hospital's part, which is why this child died. Now, when you go into the hospital with a serious bacterial pneumonia infection like this, they can't run the test on it overnight or quickly enough to get you the right medicine. So there are some strains of viruses or bacteria that are resistant to certain antibiotics, and so that's why they do these cultures. And so they find the right antibiotic that will treat the type of bacteria infection that you have. Well, in this case, this child should have been put on 2 different types of antibiotics initially, until they knew for sure which type of antibiotic would this bacterial infection would respond to. They did not do that. So they delayed treatment in the child for 2.5 days, and he was getting the wrong antibiotic. And had that not happened, I fully believe that child would still be alive. But the way the media has spun it, you're going to die from measles. Everyone, the whole country, we're all going down from the measles.
This is something I know zero about.
Oh, you do, because you've watched documentaries,
Yeah, you've made me sit through these documentaries, which have been horrible, like, for me to experience. But anyway, no, it's actually, I'm kidding. It was I mean, some of it's
There's the
interesting.
disrespect. I'm kidding.
Yeah, that's me being insulting somehow.
I'm kidding.
Everybody out there, why don't you watch these documentaries from your weekend? It's not that exciting.
I'll send them to you.
Can I watch a Nazi subboat documentary or something that I'm used to?
Ridiculous.
Anyway, no, some of it's interesting. I just don't know. I'm not a medical expert. So it's hard for me to debate the issue of vaccines, whether they're good or not, whether the way I've always looked at it, just do whatever you want. Like, it's kind of like, take it, don't take it, do what you want to do. I mean, it's your body. Like,
but no one should be forced to take.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean,
look, we have a caller calling in.
Want.
Let me see if I can make this work. Hey, you're on the air. Hey, call us right back. We got a bad connection. Call right back. Not sure what happened with that. Maybe they'll call back. I'm sure it's someone who thinks vaccines are terrible. I'm willing to bet. But this information has come from Children's Health Defense. They've been on this case, and that was RFK Jr.'s organization. Okay, let's try this one more time. Hello, you there?
Hello.
Hey, you're on the air.
Yes. Oh, good. That was me. Something happened. I don't know. I was trying to say you on the radio, and it didn't watch. Well, I'm about 77 years old. I don't know if I'm gonna ever take another vaccine. I'm scared of this measles vaccine.
Yeah, I don't blame you one bit. I think that they've lost a lot. People have lost a lot of faith in vaccines because they've been lied to.
And also, the new head of the state, what is it? The control, the health control thing in Atlanta. They put a lady over there that she's more woke than anything. What I heard, and she's for vaccines and everything else. I don't know how she got there, but this is what I've heard now.
From what I understand, that has been her stance in the past, but I believe she's had a change of heart. That's what I'm hearing. I hope that's the case. I can't see RFK putting someone in there that didn't agree with them.
Can you actually trust these people? I'm not being rude.
No. Look, I'll tell you, I don't. I'm the first one to tell you I don't trust the government, really, ever. Ever since they lied to us about going to the moon and all of that. Shaun and I like to debate that. But
okay. I'm gonna stay out of that one.
No, I really don't. But if I was going to trust anyone, it would be RFK, because he has fought so hard on this issue when no one would listen, and he has caught so much hate for it over the years.
Mm-hmm. Well, I say all we do is pray and keep it, because I'm very real. And, if I had young kids now, I don't know if I get them vaccine or not. I'm going to be honest with you.
My youngest is not vaccinated at all, and he is healthy as can be.
So I mean, it's a shame we lost respect, and especially the UN people. I don't believe anything they tell me. So
Yeah, it's
it's
hard.
just
It's
one
hard to
of
trust them when you feel like you've been lied to so many times and you don't know what to believe
well,
anymore.
I had a guy working for me, and he was part time working on the weekends, and he said they're gonna make me take a vaccine. I'm gonna be dead. But, in 2 days, he was dead.
I believe that
And so
happened with a
because
lot of people with the COVID vaccine. It did. It too many times for it to be a coincidence, and it happens a lot with babies too. The SIDS, the sudden infant death syndrome that we see in babies so often. If you go and look at the records, I mean, normally it's hours or days within a vaccine appointment.
and they're gonna cover it up.
Oh,
But
absolutely,
I don't
absolutely.
know. It's just sad. But they also said, I heard, I'm 77, but I also heard that the people living to be longer, and now America has gone down on that one. More people are dying for a certain age now. It's slowly going down. That wouldn't surprise me.
It doesn't
I
surprise
don't
me
know. Have
one
you
bit.
heard that?
Yeah, I
Have you
mean,
heard
I
that?
think there's a lot of things in our food and a lot of things that we are just unaware of, chemicals that are causing people to not be as healthy as they could be. But
Mhm.
we're up against our next break. But thank you so much for calling. We appreciate it.
I got one more comment.
Okay, go ahead.
If you listen to the news every day, the world's coming to an end every day.
Oh yeah, that
It's
fear
a
mongering. They're good
crisis
with
in
that.
the world, and that's all it is. Hey,
Yeah.
thank you, man.
Yes,
Thanks.
thanks. You have a good one. All right, we're gonna take our last break and we will be right back. All right, welcome back in to Crossing the Aisle with Shaun, the Democrat, and Lindsey, the great conservative Republican. I'm kidding. So, Shaun,
Mhm.
I think you said earlier the next 48 hours is kind of crucial coming with these tariffs, these new tariffs, and what we're seeing other countries, the retaliatory tariffs that they're making public or making known. And so, what do you think is going to happen over the weekend? What are we going to see change, or what are we going to see with the stock market? What's going to happen?
Well, I'm just
What's your
kinda
prediction
I'm just
anyway?
checking updates right now where the Dow's down 1,700 points. I mean, that's not good. That's not good
When's the
at all.
last time that it dipped like that?
March 2020, and we all know what happened then.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I believe that's March. Yesterday, we're saying that was the first. Yesterday was the worst dip. Actually, yesterday was the worst dip since March 2020. I guess we got another one today. Today's worst dip since yesterday. So it's an issue. You know, I think, like I said before, if President Trump is playing a game of chicken with other countries, maybe it'll work out in the end, and he gets a deal that he wants to get because that's what he likes to do. He likes to negotiate, and that works out for everybody's benefit. It could depends on how long this goes on, this kind of war, and if the other countries are going to follow suit. Now it seems like Vietnam's willing to engage in that, and that's good. I did read this morning though that Europe is not in the position right now to back down. They don't feel like doing that, and China obviously not, because they put retaliatory tariffs on us,
Right, because they know we need them.
and they need us. They need our market. I mean, they definitely do. And their economy's had a lot of problems over the last few years, especially they're actually what's called a deflationary environment. So it's not great over there either. So it's just a question who's going to blink at this point, I think. And I don't know who is. And I don't think President Trump is. He doesn't seem like he wants to.
No, I don't think so. I mean, I've like we were saying yesterday, I've never seen him really admit that he's wrong. What do you guys think? Do you guys have any opinions on this? Give us a call. Let us know.
But who's really starting to blink is Congress. And this is the first time that Congress is starting to rebuke the president. So what happened? They voted to undo his tariffs on Canada, I think on Wednesday. So that happened. And now they're working on another step, and it's bipartisan. This is like we're actually getting some bipartisan work out of Congress. And what the Senate, particularly in the Senate, and they're trying to rein in and rescind the existing tariffs. Because here's the thing, Lindsey, and there's argument about this and people will debate it. The president doesn't necessarily have the tariff power.
I was just about to ask you,
power.
is this because all of these executive orders that he's signing now, obviously they're being challenged, but does he have the power himself as president to do this without any support?
Well, he would tell you he does under he's got emergency powers. He can do it under emergency. So that's when he put the tariffs on Mexico and Canada.
What's the emergency?
Fentanyl is what he said, even though we don't really get any fentanyl from Canada. We do from Mexico, obviously. So that was the emergency he used. He's got emergency powers to do that. And there's some other acts where he can do it. And a lot of times just through a matter of course, Congress has kind of delegated their tariff authority to the presidency over the last several decades, just because it was easier for them to do it and they didn't want to do it. But I mean, they're the ones with the power. He doesn't really have the power to do that, except under this under the emergency powers. So now they're trying to implement that. Congress is, and that's why they're working on these laws to take away that Trump's tariff powers from him, or the ones he doesn't really have. He's got the emergency powers, and it's
but they will go into effect. Did they go into effect already, or
I think isn't the 5th? I think that's the day, right? Tomorrow.
I
think that's right.
Yeah. So they don't have the power to stop it before it
no, I don't
effect.
think so. I think I believe he's still using the emergency powers. I'm not sure, but yeah, I don't right now they're going to go into effect, and he's acting as if he does have that authority to do it. So but so that's what you're seeing. You're seeing your first standoff between Congress and Trump, and that's not happened because right now the last few months it's just been the Republican controlled Congress kind of been a rubber stamp for the presidency or the president. Now this is the first time they're like, oh, wait a second. And see, you got to think about it. Like what they're worried about is like the longer this goes on, they're not going to get reelected. Like if there's more economic pain, and depends on how long.
Well, I was just going to say, so many people voted because of when we said that grocery store prices, they voted with that mindset, and middle class Americans that were already suffering, this is not going to be good for them. So they're going to think about this when they go back to the voting booth.
Exactly. And Trump this is the only time he could run. I know he's talking about third term. I think he's just trolling people and kidding about that.
He is funny. He's a funny dude.
Yeah, I don't think he's being serious, and everybody just jumps on it. But anyway, so he's term limited. He's done after these 4 years, but these congressmen and senators are not, and they're concerned about what happens next. And if the economy completely tanks, they're going to be out of a job. I mean, the longer this goes on, Mike Johnson is going to not be speaker anymore, and Hakeem Jeffries is. And that's what's going to happen, because the voters are going to be like, wait a second, we elected you to bring prices down, to improve the economy. That was the main thing. And you didn't do that. Now the economy is tanked and blah, blah, blah.
But he did say he was going to do this.
He did say it. He didn't lie. I had a conversation with a good friend of mine this morning saying, well, Trump lied to us. I'm like, he didn't lie to you. That's the one thing I'm going to say. He did not lie.
He said he was going to do this.
He said he was going to do this. And he said actually during the campaign, his infamous statement is that tariff is the most beautiful word he's ever heard. He said that so many times. So he didn't lie to anybody. He said he was going to do this, and he's doing it. Actually, one thing I'll say positive about him, Trump has done everything he said he's going to do. I mean, you can't really debate that.
Yeah.
I mean, he's of any politician I've ever seen in my lifetime, the guy has,
this time,
whether you agree with the policies or not, he's done what he said he was going to do. So, and he said he was going to do this. And so here we are. But does that work for congressmen and senators long term? Probably, or the Republican Party as a whole? Not if this continues, because most people are not in the weeds like we are about politics.
Right.
What they care about is getting up, paying their mortgage, buying groceries,
being able to afford groceries.
Yeah, and that's what they care about. And the people that put Donald Trump over the margin to beat Kamala Harris were not all hardcore MAGA people. There was the people in the middle that said, we just don't like what's going on with the Biden administration. We think
they felt lied to. They felt taken advantage of.
Yeah, and so they didn't vote because they're wearing MAGA hats. They voted because we think Trump's going to do a better job. If he doesn't do it and doesn't deliver, then the congressman and the senators will be out of a job in about like 16 months or something. So
I really think Trump was almost like calling their bluff, thinking that this was going to go his way pretty quickly. And I'm not so sure it's going to happen like he kind of thought that it would.
Yeah, I think it's, the rest of the world is kind of taking notice about how the United States now is kind of bullying them. Whether they're going to blink, that's what he's kind of waiting on. I don't know. It's hard to answer that question. Like, what's going to happen? Who's going to blink? I don't think he is. And again, I think he's kind of the luxury of he doesn't have to blink because he doesn't have to run again.
He's done.
He can do whatever he wants to now. And the way he is, he's like, well, sorry, Senator, sorry, Congressman. I know y'all got to run again, but do I really care? I mean, he probably doesn't. So, so he can go along with this as long as he wants to, unless Congress ends up stopping him. The rest of the world though is getting hurt. Well, and he's banking on that they're going to blink because they obviously need the U.S. market. We're the largest, consumer market in the world,
right? And
the richest. So they know that they need us. So how long? Who's going to blink first? Who's going to do it? I don't know. I wish I did.
Find out, I guess.
We're going to find out, but I hope it doesn't take too long to, because the longer this goes on, it's going to be catastrophic for all of us.
The harder it's going to be for everybody's pocketbooks, I'm sure. All right. Well, I lied to you guys before. I thought we were at our last commercial break, but now we are actually on our last commercial break. So stay with us. We'll be right back here on Crossing the Aisle, WYAB 103.9. We're back. We've got just a few minutes, but Shaun, what do you think? First full week in the books.
Well, it was fun. We had the election, obviously. We pissed off, or I did piss off a listener. That's, I mean, it's just standard. It's great.
Already gotten some hate mail?
Angry Karen lady. So the
if you're listening, Angry Karen, please continue to listen.
Lindsay was calling you Angry Karen last night, not me. I was,
no, don't tell them that. I'm the nice one.
Okay, that's what you said. Not me.
Yeah, it's been fun. I think we finally, fingers crossed, knock on wood. I think we're getting all the kinks worked out. This show, finally by Friday, we've gotten it. It went smoothly.
Yeah. There's a lot of technical stuff to figure out. I think we're rocking and rolling on that, and hopefully next week there's a new book out called Fight.
I got it.
That we are going to talk about, and it's about the 2024 race. It came out on Wednesday.
In my car, I was going to show him.
Came out on Wednesday actually, and it's about the backstory about how Kamala Harris got picked as a nominee, who wanted her as a nominee, who didn't. Barack Obama was behind the scenes, and
Nancy Pelosi as well,
who did not want her. Obama was like fighting against it. That's why it took him a long time to endorse her. It talks about how the Democratic Party hid Joe Biden's mental condition.
Right, and it's so funny because it also talks about, in the book, it talks about how Obama really wanted. Oh, Shaun's got his copy.
I got it. That's my copy. If everybody wants to
Obama
pick it up.
really wanted Wes Moore on a ticket, who I kept saying over and over, he's going to be on the ticket. He's going to be on the ticket. And I think had there been an open primary, that actually would have happened. But that did not happen, as we know.
No, it didn't happen. The Kamala circled the wagons and got all the people she needed, all the endorsements, and it shows how she did that. But there was a big fight on having her as a nominee because President Obama said that she cannot win. That was his problem with it.
And he was right.
And he was right. And so that was, we'll talk about that. It's all about the infighting about that.
Right. We're going to try to get it read this weekend. And
it's got about the Trump campaign too. It talks about that, all the things that he went through, and down from the prosecutions to getting shot to everything else.
Yeah.
So,
that's right. So we're going to try to get that finished this weekend and be able to talk about it with you guys next week. We'll be here Monday through Friday, 12 to 1, WYAB 103.9. Like and share our page with other people, and we hope that you've enjoyed our first week. See you Monday.
Thanks.